Thank you for being here. Everybody, this is Lupita Nicole with Central Community
Hi,
Partners.
everyone.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about what your organization does?
Yes, Central Community Partners is a nonprofit organization that's based out of Oakland. It got started 2010, and what we focus on is bringing uh, all of the tools and all of the educational piece over to our entrepreneurs or people who want to start their own business. And so Central will focus on the minority and especially women, underserved in our community. So that way we could bring the tools and all of the information needed for them to create their businesses and be successful at it.
Yes. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
That's huge. That's huge.
Yes.
We were telling everyone here that when we started, we didn't know all of this was out there, or maybe it wasn't, but the resources that were out there, we did not know about. So we're hoping to connect those dots for these folks and give them a more solid foundation.
Definitely. It's very important now. I mean, now that we have more of the online communication, we could kind of bring in all of these different organizations, community come together and bring the information and maybe put it all in one area, one source that we could find. And it's much easier now. When I started, same thing. I had to do all of the research everywhere. So now we could kind of help each other and shorten that distance between us being, just ourselves to an entrepreneur. So it's very rewarding being able to do this.
We're glad that folks like you are out there to help.
Thank you.
So we do have some questions that we have gotten before today's webinar and in our past surveys. So we are going to be going into those, but should we start with the slides?
Yes.
And I can share my screen unless you.
If I do have access to being able to share the screen, if I can get that.
I know that we had an interesting time the last time, so I'll just go ahead and do it.
Oh, okay, because you can, if you go down to where it allows you to give me co-facilitate the meeting, then it'll allow me to share the screen if you want. It'll keep you from having to do it.
Well, being that I am being cognizant of time and I have not done that,
okay,
I'm just going to go ahead and share it.
No problem. Thank you then. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Okay, so here we are.
All right.
Centro.
So just as I stated before, Centro, give you a little bit of that information. We give the access to the entrepreneurs to equality, inclusion, to social change, and we help them create jobs, and that allows the community to thrive more. Being able to have get your own employees and just create growth within the community and give us economic power. So that's that one, and you could go to the next if you like. To the next slide.
Yep.
And so with that, we also created an app. So the app allows our entrepreneurs to go online, and it's a very quick and very user-friendly app that allows you to create your own business plan, and it walks you step by step. So if you look at having to go to school for learning about business planning and just business in general, getting a major, it takes you years. But here we've condensed everything into one app, and it allows you to create your own business plan with much ease. So at the end of the whole process, you will have a completed business plan. And you could download it on Google Play or the App Store. It's completely free to anyone. So go to the next. And so today we're just going to talk a little bit about marketing and what is marketing and what is market analysis. So I don't want to, kind of make it too much of a teaching something, but maybe we can make it more conversational. And if they have questions, then, I could answer them. But it's the most important part, and it's a very crucial part in business, is recognizing and knowing your customer and who is going to be your target audience. A lot of us think everybody's my customer, but not necessarily. Sometimes we could kind of it could be a detriment to ourselves if we think that way. So we've got to realize, what is my target audience? What is my target ideal customer? Because our product can be guided towards one individual, one type of client. Unless we're selling toilet paper, then we could say, oh, everyone is our target audience, right?
Right.
So yes. So so I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about maybe how to create a target audience. I mean, how to figure out who your target audience is, then we can go ahead and do that as well.
Well, I have a question. If I think that the term marketing is so broad, can you define that in some kind of like concise one sentence, just so people know what that even is?
I think they get it confused with branding a lot too.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So that is the one key there. In marketing, just the very basic, definition in marketing is an action a business takes to promote or sell products, services, including doing market research and advertisement. So it's basically, with the market, it's the action taken. It's kind of the, how can I say, it's more of the physical action of going out there to figure out, what is my product, what is my service that I'm selling. And branding is a lot different. Branding is more of, I call it the personal branding. Branding is where you're actually creating a name for yourself. You're creating a persona for your business, even yourself. You're letting people know who you are and what you're all about. Where in marketing, you're thinking about the steps that you're taking in regards to who am I targeting? What is the product I'm selling? So it is confusing, but we can say in self-branding or branding, it's more about what is my product about, and what am I doing, what it's all about. It's not about, it's not saying who am I selling it to or whatnot, but it's more about,
So branding is your business's identity, and marketing is the act of selling it.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Sorry
or trying to sell it.
Trying to sell it.
Yeah, what we're all doing.
Yeah, we're all. So that's basically the difference between.
Okay. Okay. Well, that helps.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people get confused. So
yes.
Yeah. Do you want to just start with the questions then, Anne, and she can bring it back to the slide here and there?
Yeah. So one of the questions that we get is, what kind of businesses need to market their product? Does everyone need to market? Are there certain types of businesses that need to market more?
Okay, so what kind of businesses need to market? Okay, then a lot of the times when we are advising our students, we let them know, okay, if you're selling a product, and let's say there is you need to create your market. You need to know your market, and you need to know, okay, will I need to be promoting the product more? How do I figure that out? Okay, I will do an analysis of the market. How many businesses of my same, the same business I hold are around in my area? Do I need to stand out? Do I need to show that my product is different than others? So a lot of the time, that's how you kind of determine, okay, do I need to go ahead and focus on marketing a lot more? But I think ultimately we all need to do some kind of marketing, and we all need to promote the product and service, especially now that everything is online and everything is going to be put on social media. You have have to learn about marketing. You have to market yourself because there is a lot of competition out there.
There definitely is. So once somebody figures out their business and then the market that they want to, their target audience. So once they know all of that, how do they figure out where to market? How does one know which mediums to use or what's the best choice for their actual products or services? How does someone navigate there's so many choices out there. How do you navigate that whole?
There sure are. So basically, once you get to know your target audience, you know their age, you know their income, you know maybe their gender, their occupation, then you kind of can focus on that piece of it. And you can say, okay, well, let me look at the social media outlets. We have, let's say we have TikTok, we have Snapchat, and we have Facebook, we have Instagram. So when we look at all these different avenues of, of social media, then we could say, what are the groups that utilize these different outlets? Which groups will I target? So then that's where you decide which ones. So a lot of the times we also tie in what we want to do with our media. So do we want to raise awareness? Do we want to educate them? Or do you just want to promote your product? So you have to think about all of those things in one. So we put them in different categories, different buckets. So if I want to educate my client, if I want to promote my product and kind of give him a little bit more insight, then I utilize Facebook because on Facebook I could upload videos, I can do lives, I can do a lot of these things that maybe, and then I think about my age group. So on Facebook, we have a lot of the older generation and we have a lot of like 30 and on utilizing Facebook. They love Facebook and that's their go-to. Then you have the younger generation, maybe anywhere from the 15 to 25 or 30 that are using Instagram to just look around for different products that they're interested in. So you kind of have to know your target audience before you get started on promoting, because you don't want to waste time on certain media outlets that are not going to be useful to you.
So it sounds like we need to know the who before we know
Yes.
the where.
Exactly.
I'm
That is the way.
thinking like who, what, when, where, why. I'm just thinking.
Exactly.
So,
Yes. So we'll make it simple. So we'll say the who, what, and where. So who is your target audience? What do you want to do with your social media? And then where am I going to go ahead and put all of my, all of the substance that I'm going to decide to choose. But very good way of putting it, Amy.
Can you guys hear me okay?
You're a
Yes.
little low.
Okay.
A little bit.
Talk louder.
I think it's so important with marketing. People get so caught up in, and maybe I didn't like sell things right away, or I didn't get enough likes, or I didn't do that. But you don't realize that every time people see you, then they're thinking of that brand and they're thinking, okay, when I do need something, I'll go back to, I kept seeing that candle, or I kept seeing that thing. I didn't need it then, but I need it now. So you can't get caught up on I didn't sell anything right away, because you're creating this, like, it's in their mind now. Like, being seen is definitely important too.
Yes, it is important to be seen. And so what you're putting out for your potential client on social media is very important too. You not only want to have that mentality of like, I want to sell. Usually, if you bring something of value to someone or to your community, you're bringing something of value. It comes back to you because you're not expecting what am I going to get from them? What are they going to buy from me? When you provide something of value, maybe at the moment you're not selling that product, but let's say you talk about the benefits of aromatherapy and what lavender does for you. Then you add at the end or right on your ad, you just have your brand on there. And so you're bringing something of value to that client. And so that's how they're going to remember, oh yeah, I remember this and that about this product. And they come back to you. So not necessarily do we always want to think about what am I going to get, what if they're going to buy from me, but if you bring something of value, the client will realize that and they will come back to you.
I don't remember where I saw this, but I saw this somewhere a while ago, and it was basically what you're saying. Don't just sell at them, but we want to fulfill a need.
Exactly.
Right? So like you're saying, that's value. And I don't know, I feel like that's just across the board, whatever your product or service is.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that's
Yeah.
my soapbox.
So it is across the board. People don't like to feel that you're selling at them or throwing things at them. They like to buy from someone they know and someone they could, kind of identify with and have a relationship with. They like that. And so when you build rapport and you build a relationship with your customer or potential customer, then that is when they remember you, and that's when they're going to trust in you that your product, your service is of quality. So then you will want to be mindful of all that when you're going through your promotional, your advertisement, your promotional channels. You want to do that because you want to bring value to your client. Therefore, they will become a long-time client. They'll come back time after time.
And that's important right now.
Exactly.
Creating those relationships.
Exactly.
So what do you think, someone asked a question that is kind of related to this. As far as marketing strategies, what do you think works best currently in this time we're living in? Someone was asking about, Leslie wanted to know, are giveaways on social media a good way to gain or find targeted followers? And I know that we, Stock Market, do a lot of giveaways, and Amy, maybe you want to touch on it, but I think it's always been super successful for us. I think making people engage in something is fun, and they want to share it with their friends, and they want to tag people, and so it helps spread the word
Quickly.
Yeah.
It does. The only I'll say it real quick. The only thing that can be a drawback is if the contest or the giveaway is not directly aligned with your company's ultimate vision, or not directly to your target audience. Like if you just got a bunch of free stuff, free swag, people are going to follow you to get the free stuff and then unfollow you, and that's not a customer. So just being intentional about what the contest is. That's all my advice would be.
Yeah, that's very true. Just being intentional and bringing something of value to them. And always when doing a contest, then you want to make sure, there's certain qualification or certain steps they need to take, like your page, tag friends, and also leave a comment about the product itself if they have consumed it. So like Amy said, we need to be very intentional on what we are asking of our clients and what we put out there. And it has to be aligned with the core values of our business. So yes, that's very true. So that back to your question, Anne, it is a good way to promote your brand and promote your product by bringing out these giveaways that allow you to kind of, not only is your potential customer going to get to try the product, but you're promoting it, and there's going to be a lot of tagging going on where someone that might not have seen you before now is aware that you exist. So it's a great way to do it.
So besides social media, because we're all on it all the time, is there any way for businesses to market, do you think, during these times? Are there other creative ways that people can get their name out there if they aren't into Instagram or they're not into Facebook? Are there other ways that they can get the word out about their business?
There are other ways. So there's still the radio. Radio is one of the best ways right now that is being utilized by many businesses because we are at home. We can't really do much. So radio does allow us to get into people's homes. There's also ways to send flyers out still. Now we could still use the post office. If you like to send out a flyer, then that would be great. But we are, during these times, we are a little bit limited with, do we want the mail to be touched by so many hands, So that's another thing to keep in mind. But most of the time, we could also create like a list. You could utilize emails and create that list. When you're on social media, you want to start creating a list of contacts. Also, when you have your payment process go through, a lot of the systems will ask for email. So anytime someone purchases something, you ask for an email. Maybe in your email, you could send out a courtesy email and say, okay, can you refer me a friend or whatnot? And then they share an email with their friend or send it to their friend. And those are different ways. Now you got to get very creative with that. So you could utilize email and go we'll regress a little bit because email was, used before for certain things. And now we could go back to it. We could go back and utilize those tools that we have. There's also texting. There's also polls that you could create. So that could also work as well through email.
I know that I've seen this tactic used before, and thinking in terms of people who are just starting out and don't have an email list, we need to build that, because if you have that list, then anytime you have a new product or service, you can let them know. So maybe part of their Facebook giveaway is sign up for my email list, and then you're entered to win whatever. But like you said, we're having to get creative in not just how we market, but also capturing the people to market to. I have a question. I feel like a lot of people would want to know, that I would want to know if I was just starting out, is going back to the beginning when we talked about knowing your customer. And so it says right here on the screen, what's their income, their age, their occupation, where are they? But what if they don't know? How do they find that out? Because that could be overwhelming.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. Well, you can find out just by the product alone. Okay. When you are creating the list of potential clients, you are gonna think back to what need does my product fulfill or service. So as an entrepreneur, as the owner of that business, you have created that product with your core values, your core idea of what service or what need you were fulfilling. So now you most likely have an idea of the client or the customer you're looking for. So you start from there. You start from your product. What need does it fulfill, and who would be the person that most likely would buy this product? So you just have to go back to that. You have to go back to looking at what product, what service you're selling, and what core values brought you to that point in creating that product.
So, for example, say I make children's hair bows. Mm-hmm. Then my customer is parents.
Yes. So then your client would be the parent. The parent's the one that has the income, right? The parent's the one that makes all purchases. So then you would target the parent, anyone who has a child. So then you look at the different, the age group that, let's say a child that age would, okay, how old would the parents be? Right. And then you target the parents and you go from there. So those are the kind of things that you're gonna do, like a logical breakdown of, okay, what would this look like? You know,
I think sometimes this stuff is so basic, it almost seems out of reach because people don't think it would be that easy, but it really is taking it back to the basics of
It is.
who
It
your
is.
company
And
is and
so,
what you're doing.
yeah, so then for us as Central Community Partners, what we do is in our app, we have a section where it does show you how to break down your target, your ideal customer, your target audience. It helps you break that down.
Okay.
So I would really highly recommend that you go in and download the app. And so it would be very helpful.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Is there anything else we should touch on this slide before we go on to the next? I know Courtney's going to be joining us in just a couple of minutes.
Yes, she will. She will. I think if there is any other questions, I welcome,
Do we
welcome
want
that.
to touch
So,
on this at all, or? Oh, there
yes.
she is.
Mhm.
Well, maybe we can involve Courtney in this
slide.
topic.
Yes.
Hi, Courtney.
Hi, Courtney.
Hi, everyone. How are you?
Good.
Good. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me. Hopefully this was the right time. I don't mean to interrupt anyone.
No,
you're good.
You're good. We were just talking, well, about everything. Marketing is so multifaceted, but we were about to get into this slide right here and just a little bit to touch on branding.
Perfect.
So do you want to start, Lupita? This is your slide.
Yes, thank you. So here in the area of branding, we always want to start as a business. You want to start with your values, your core values. Why is it that you created this product? Why is it that you decided to fulfill this need in your society, in your community? So so we talk about the different ways that we could go about creating awareness about our brand and who we are and what we stand for. So it encompasses everything. So when you create your website, there's a certain feel that you want people to have when they visit your website. You want them to know what you're about just by the look of that first, like we say, first impressions are very important. So when we first open that website, what do we see? What feeling do we get? And what message are we conveying? So that's one thing to focus on, as well as your business card. So it's like you wanted to make sure that it also conveys that message, and in every section of every part of the branding, there is a sentiment or a connection, and that it's in unison, and it looks like it's part of your business, as well as the logo. You're going to create a logo. The logo is very unique to all of your brand. When someone looks at that logo, you want them to just remember and say, yes, I remember them. So it's just like when we look at Nike, how simple it is, and it's just, yes, we know that's Nike. Or the Apple logo. It was you want to make sure that it represents your business, it represents who you are, and you feel good about what you're putting out there as far as the logo, because you want to think about when you're doing your all of your merchandising, is it going to be easy? Is it going to be costly to print all this? So you've got to make sure that it's kind of simple, yet it describes what you're all about. So it is kind of talking about all of the different areas. So you have your social media, you have your word of mouth. A lot of right now, a lot of the promotional material is going to be on social media, because we really can't go out much. We're at home. So a lot of the people, most of the time, about 69% of purchases are made by female on the phone, on their mobile device. So you can imagine who do you want to target if that is your target audience on social media. So you're able to allow them purchase whatever the product is online. So there's also the location of your business, the customer service, the product and service, and the employees. Everything about you, everything about the brand has to come together, and it has to mesh right. So even your employees, if you are going to have employees, have to know what you're about and hold the core values that you hold. So it's kind of, in a nutshell, your branding is it shows who you are, what you're about, and just it kind of gives a little bit insight of your values as a company or as a business.
So we talked about earlier how your brand is basically the identity of your company, and each of these little facets just reinforces that identity.
Exactly.
So, and
exactly.
I mean, I think a good segue would be social media, since Courtney is with Snapchat. Courtney, do you want to give us a quick little synopsis on Snapchat? I know that it's a super amazingly popular app, but I don't know that necessarily everybody uses it for business. So what is Snapchat, and how can it be beneficial to entrepreneurs?
Definitely, perfect segue. And I'm echoing a little bit, so apologies if it's a little hard to hear. But hi everyone, my name's Courtney, and I work at Snapchat on the marketing team. Specifically, I am a marketer who helps onboard new advertisers onto our platform by, by developing our value proposition as it relates to how to drive results for your business. So just a quick high-level overview, because I do understand that like not everyone is on Snapchat every day. Our audience is definitely unique and skews a little bit younger. So totally understand if there's not an abundance of business owners just yet in our cohort. But let's just ground the conversation and give you a very quick high-level overview. So on average, our community, we have about 238 million daily active users on a daily basis. So our audience is actually pretty substantial. And I know that a lot of people are probably shocked by that because you're like, well, I've only heard that there's probably kids on there, but nope, there's more than that. So when you drill that number down a little bit further, we actually reach over 100 million people in the US alone on a daily basis.
Wow.
And so really, I think, why we are finding that groove and that, quarter over quarter growth actually is because we allow for communication between your friends and family to be pretty seamless. Like our platform is a platform where you are talking to your closest friends and family. You are actually finding some fun throughout your day with the use of our lenses and our filters. We have premium content on the platform that we develop from a show perspective. We also have partnerships with some of the top media brands like ESPN or Cosmopolitan or Bleacher Report or BuzzFeed, where you can come daily to get new content that they're creating bespoke to the platform. So it's not just a camera, it's not just a chat, it's not just content. It's a combination of all of those. And when we talk about our community, we call it the Snapchat generation. But really what that means is we reach 90% of 13 to 24-year-olds in the US population. So when you actually compare that to the likes of other social platforms, that's actually we're reaching more 13 to 24-year-olds than Facebook, Instagram, and Messenger combined. So if Gen Z is your audience, Snapchat is your place. And while I understand that Gen Z is a very niche audience and not all businesses are looking to speak to that audience just yet, although I do have some facts to help you guys understand the value there. When we progress up to that 13 to 34, so Gen Z and millennials, we're reaching 75% of the US population. So pretty still substantial numbers. And then, so talking to the guys that actually aren't communicating to Gen Z or millennials, I might have some reasons as to why you should. First of all, millennials are the largest generation in the U.S. history. I'm sure most of you guys are aware of that. But they are expected actually to drive over half of the increase in expenditure growth over the next decade. So when we look at just 2020 alone, 1 in 3 purchases are going to be made by millennials. But when we look at Gen Z, they actually outnumber millennials worldwide. And I know like a lot of the times we're thinking Gen Z, like they're younger, they don't have money, like should I be actually advertising to them? Should I be, you know, depending on the, and obviously yes, depending on the product, your product may not have a product market fit with that audience. But if it does, it's worth a shot because it's important to kind of build that opportunity with Gen Z now. They have over $323 billion in direct buying power as on an aggregate, and they have $1.2 trillion dollars in indirect purchasing power. So when we talk about indirect purchasing power, it's really the fact that they're influencing the household purchases. Makes sense, right?
Yeah.
You know, you have a 13-year-old at home and they are asking for back to school items. Well, in this time, a little different,
Yeah.
but they're asking for items for their Christmas list because let's be real, everyone still wants their presents. They are directly asking for the brands that they like. And so 92% of parents say that their children influence the purchase decisions in their home. And when we look at like the incremental sales that are driven by these purchase influencers, 63% of those purchases came from 63% of incremental purchases came from the purchase influencer, aka Gen Z, seeing an advertisement and then directing their parents to purchase it for them.
Wow.
So this audience is extremely valuable, Gen Z and millennials combined. When you combine their actual like spending power, it's about $1 trillion. So big time audience here at play. But just talking a little bit more broadly about just how we are supporting like more local businesses as well. One of the features in our app or in our platform is the map. And the Snap Map was all about bringing the world to you. So obviously, yes, you can go on the map and you see where your friends are, and that's great. And obviously, who wants you know, if you're in the area, you can stop by and say hello. But it also just brings the world to you in new ways. So one way that I actually used our map recently was just when I was trying to explore what was going on in the ground across some of the different protests that occurred in our country. And immediately I tapped on the hotspot and I was brought to all of the stories that were shared as a part of our public Our Story. I was able to view those in real time. And so people are truly using our map to discover what is going on. And so we took heed of that because over 200 million Snapchatters use our map every month. And so we wanted to understand, okay, our maps, there's something really powerful about our maps. And obviously you have Google Maps and other maps, Apple Maps, etc. But what about our map is unique? And it is something around that discoverability factor. And so we rolled out places on our Snap Map most recently, which highlights local places that are popular to our community. So now when you go on the map, you don't just see your friends and family, but you all, or, you know, what the hot spots that are going on, but you also will see businesses, local businesses that you're near. And you'll be able to click into business, understand, you know, reviews that are pulled in, hours, etc. And it really just allows the opportunity for local businesses to have more of a presence specific to our audience.
That's awesome.
And I know, you know, yeah, it's really cool, and it couldn't have come at a more perfect time. We know that supporting local businesses is more important for everyone now more than ever before. And we also saw that Snapchatters are 34% more likely than non-Snapchatters to buy from brands that support their local community. So we knew that there was something there, and so we thought, you know, why not create that opportunity for these local businesses to have a larger presence on our platform? So that's like a really new development or product that we've rolled out. But we've also, in turn with that, then allowed brands to then drive foot traffic as a result of being a business, having a local presence on our map. So within our ads manager tool, which is the tool that everyone will use to sell, like as a self-serve advertising tool to go in and target, you know, your ads to different audiences. You can actually select promote place now. That's designed specifically for brick and mortar stores that can allow an opportunity to drive advertising specifically to nearby Snapchatters to drive into your business. So I know that was a quick overview. There's so much more to tell about the value of our audience, the value of our platform. But just if you take anything away from today, just know we have a huge audience of Gen Z and millennials. We call them the Snapchat generation. And we are doing even more than we did before in terms of onboarding and bringing on local businesses to the platform to ensure that they're even more discoverable, because we know that the synergies between our audience and the value of local businesses is a pretty strong connector.
You guys are doing amazing things over there.
Yeah, I had no idea. Really.
I know.
So thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I feel like most people are really surprised. You hear about Facebook and Instagram often, but it's also nice to know what's going on other platforms as well.
It is, especially with that indirect buying power, and those, Gen Z will grow up one day and have direct buying power. So establishing relationships, we need to look into that at some point if we haven't already with that generation. So I'm just being.
And it's very strong.
Huh?
It's very strong in my house. Gen Z. So the only way I found out about Snapchat is because that my daughter came along and said, "Mom, look at what's going on." So you guys have done such an amazing job in the way you do all of the just all of the advertising and everything. So
thank you.
It's awesome.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
So I just want to be conscious of time and get to these questions. We have a few questions that people dropped in the Q&A, and I think there's probably some others coming in the chat. Let's start with this, because this, I think, is across the board, applies to social media in general. So Simone asks, how important are hashtags how important are hashtags pertaining to your target audience? Who wants to take that first?
I'll jump in. Actually, we don't. There is no way to kind of search a hashtag on Snap specifically.
Okay.
But I think that on other platforms there is, and I think that it depends on a few things, I will say. I think it definitely aids in discoverability of as it pertains to your content. But it's also equally important to understand kind of what are those hashtags that are actually relevant with your audience, and kind of having like more of a 1-2 punch where it's, yes, ensuring that the message wholeheartedly speaks to your core audience. And then if you want to extend that reach, the use of hashtags can only support. The tricky thing about hashtags is that they can go left soon, like quickly. And so you risk the chance of your content showing up in a place that you may or may not want it to be or associated with.
Yeah.
So there's really no control how far those hashtags can get taken. And unfortunately, people do use them in ways that they shouldn't. So I would say just be cognizant of that, and the opportunity for your content to pop up in some place that you might not actually want to be associated with down the line.
So on Snapchat, for people who aren't familiar, if someone wants to find a business or a person, how do they actually search through, since there are no hashtags, or how do you find people?
Yeah, you actually have to know that they exist on the platform,
Okay.
which is why we really, initially. So that was really why we pride ourselves in being a platform where you're connecting with your close friends and family, because it isn't a matter of you just happening upon a person. There are ways to quickly connect or sync your contacts with Snapchatters, etc. So there are ways to quickly automate that. But the value is that you are connecting with the people and the businesses and brands that you are looking to build those connections with.
So you have control.
Yes. So we are rolling out brand profiles, which will allow brands, and this is kind of in a beta right now, so it's very limited, but will allow brands to have more of a public organic presence on our platform. That is something that we are testing right now, but but more to come there. But yeah, it is truly like you're going to connect with people that you know you want to speak with.
I'm excited to see where that goes, the brand profile.
Yeah.
So we have a question here from Julie, and Julie asks, let's see, it's a long question. Any suggestions on how to link companies, organizations with my product without bombing them? So I think she's saying how to increase my reach. How do I let people know I'm out there without just bombarding them by tagging them? And I will say, thank you, Julie, because as far as stock market goes, that social media account, people tag us all the time that does not apply. I think maybe those folks think either one, they think we're directly related with like the city of Stockton, or just because we have a little higher following. And so they're tagging us to let us know they're out there. And that's helpful until it's totally irrelevant because it doesn't align with the vision. So you're right in asking that question. What do you guys think?
I didn't want to jump in. I know I didn't.
No, go ahead, Carly.
No, I was just going to say, I think there comes a time where you have to first understand what your penetration is with your core audience. I do believe that you need to kind of get your core together before you kind of try to scale abundantly, because you will learn a lot from your core kind of brand evangelists and brand loyalists. They'll tell you, they can almost act as your not personal, but your smaller focus group, where you can iterate upon your product and your services. And then once you feel like you've saturated that demo or that core, your inner core first, then you can start by thinking about, okay, how do I expand into more proxy audiences that will ultimately come to the life stage or the behaviors that my core audience, I guess, has. And so that's when you kind of start thinking about paid acquisition. And why I say that it's important to understand your core audience or your target is because you want to make sure that your paid acquisition dollars are working as hard as they can. So you do want to have like a broader kind of, you're still learning, so you want to have a broader approach to your targeting, but you also want to make sure that you do have some type of audiences that are similar to what is actually the people that are actually purchasing and interacting with your brand currently. So then you can when you think about it that way, you're thinking smarter about your targeting, you're allowing your dollars to work harder, because I know that, paid media isn't cheap. But there's a way to do that, to scale your reach smartly and without a lot of money, if you have a firm belief in who your target core audience is. So I think organic, I think at some point organic, you kind of are saturated, and in order to grow, you have to pay a little bit, but it doesn't take much if you can be smart about it.
I also just want to add a little bit. Yeah, just in that, it's just being intentional, and also keeping in mind that other companies are just like you. If you don't like being bombarded or being used, because sometimes that's what it feels like, you want to make sure you're intentional with everything, and that you keep in mind the other company, not stepping on anybody's toes, because further down in the line, you might want to do a collaboration. So you always want to be very mindful of other companies.
I think that's something that you kind of have to learn along the way too. I think we've struggled with like, how many posts do you make a day, or how many Snapchats do you a day before you people get sick of seeing your face? Like, do you do it once a day, once a week, once a month? So I think it's just learning the balance of seeing who's still watching you and what is your viewership and all of those things. You're learning as you go.
Exactly. Engagement rate is a very strong teller. You'll notice that if engagement is through the roof when you're posting, depending on what you post, but also the quantity of posts. If you see that it begins to decrease as you increase your number of posts, and that's a sign that like you're oversaturating. So definitely take heed into your engagement rate, and or just confirm engagements and by likes, comments, shares, etc.
Well, on that note, I'm gonna try, and I know we're already 2 minutes over, so, but people are still hanging on interested, so I'm gonna try to connect that last point with what we said in the beginning. So you talked, Courtney, about paid advertisements, which is hugely helpful. But if someone isn't quite ready to do that yet, engaging with people. So like what you just said was looking at your own engagement. How are people engaging with you? And that's kind of telling on to how you want to direct your next actions. But on the flip side, we need to engage with our audience or who we want our audience to be. So that's free. That's free advertisement, just organically growing your audience by going to pages who are similar to what you're doing, or maybe those folks have an interest. So Julie sells seed balls. Maybe you engage with people that are interested in landscaping, or people who follow garden blogs. And so it's slower, but that's real. And that's kind of like building a foundation to hopefully connect with, actual clients and convert them.
Yeah. It's really about getting that target audience.
Yeah, we could talk all day on this. But we have 2 more questions, so we'll try to get to these and not push us too far over. So Cynthia wants to know, after identifying your audience, what are some tips in identifying which platform will work best? So she knows her audience. Now, how do I know which platform is best? She feels like nothing's really clicking on the platform she uses. And that there should be a balance between, so she's looking for a balance between marketing on social media and more traditional. And then how do you know which one's best for your audience? But that is like the number one elusive question, right?
I'll just take a minute and answer just shortly, depending on what you want to do, what your intention is. So if you are wanting to teach something, or if you want to, it all depends on what is your intention. So you want to teach somebody something, how to do something, so that audience will come back and buy that product from you, then you can use YouTube and create a video showing them how to use your product. And then that creates a client for you. Or if you just want to show your product or show a quick picture of it, then you can go to Instagram and just show that picture and be intentional in what you're putting out there so that they will purchase. Let's say, so it's just basically what you want to do on that what you want to do. If you want to teach, if you want to sell, if you want to just bring value, then you decide which of these different platforms are available to do so. So will we use Snapchat? Will we use Facebook? Will we use YouTube? So that's one way. So I don't know, Courtney might have another point to add.
No, totally agree with that. It's kind of, you need to set your objectives, understand, like you said, exactly that. Like, are you trying to drive awareness, consideration, conversion? Also understanding the reach potential on each of the platforms that you're considering. So like not to tout Snapchat, but if you were looking to reach Gen Z and millennials, like Snapchat might be an opportunity for you. If you were looking to reach, I don't know, say older skewing male, you might consider newspapers still, like there are different audiences that skew higher, that you have a higher reach potential on than others. So it's one about figuring out your objectives, because that's going to dictate a lot of focus in terms of where you go, but also too where the audience is.
We have so many good questions. I'm excited to see people engage this much. Okay, so the last one showing up here, Simone just wants to know how to implement all platforms effectively. It's a balance, and especially if it's just you, I would say planning. I mean, knowing. I'll start, and then you guys jump in. Knowing which platform to prioritize, and you're going to know that based on who your target customer is. So then if you're on 3 social media platforms, you're going to have a favorite, and that favorite should be the favorite of your customer. Focus on that, and then do the other ones to a lesser degree when you can. But the content should also be a little bit different per platform because they're different people using them. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah. And just another note, also, depending, you need to pay attention to your platforms, you know, who the target audience is and what times are they on that platform, because maybe that time, the time frame dictates at what time are you going to be posting on Facebook, at what time will you be posting on Instagram, and so who the target audience is and what time are they usually using that platform, so that you're very intentional with that as well.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that there is a lot of testing and learning. You know, I worked on the advertising agency side for the first 10 years of my career. And a lot of the times, these were the questions that my clients would ask, like, how do I know? Where do I go? And like, yes, we had the research to determine, you know, you could reach 6% of your target audience by running here or there. And these are the targeting layers that we would add on to ensure that we're, you know, attaching our ads to that goal. But at the end of the day, you know, it is a lot of testing, learning. Sometimes I've recommended things that work spot on, and sometimes there are things that just fall a little flat. And you have to take that opportunity to not take on so many things, because especially if it's just you don't have the capacity to do it all. But pick a few things that you want to, one that you know works for sure, based on historical reference, and maybe 2 others that you are considering but not too sure about, and just start there, you know. And there's nothing wrong with starting small and then expanding as you continue to see growth. But it does involve a little bit of a layer of a test and learn it, and willingness to know that sometimes things may not pan out as you expected, but and that shouldn't be a end all be all for the platform or for the tactic. It just might be a tweak to the targeting or tweak to the timing, or yeah, there's testing that needs to be done.
We all have to start somewhere.
Exactly.
And that's what today's been all about. So we are 10 minutes over. We should probably wrap it up, but Lupita, can you tell everybody again where to find you and about the app?
Yes, you could find me at centralcommunitypartners.org, also at Lupita at centralcommunity.org. You could email me there. And we have our app that is free that you could download from the App Store, Apple or Google, and you could create your own business plan. So we do have classes coming up as well. So you could look those classes up in different cities on centralcommunity.org.
Centralcommunity.org. And we'll drop that in the chat.
Thank you.
Awesome. And then Courtney, if people want to join Snapchat or find out more about how to use it, what would you suggest? How do they find you?
Yeah, I was going to say you should visit our website, which is specifically for businesses. It's forbusiness.snapchat.com. And that site will go in depth to a lot of what I spoke about today in terms of our reach and our audience and targeting, etc. But it will also link you to understanding the business goals that our platform can answer, and explicitly how to actually build a campaign within Ads Manager. So that site is catered specifically for businesses, specifically small and long tail businesses like yourselves. So definitely check out forbusiness.snapchat.com. You should find everything that you need there, and it will even link you, if you want more information, opportunities to link out to people to get more information as well.
Awesome. I'm going to check that out right after this.
Great. I'm glad.
Same here.
Yeah. Well, thank you all for being here and taking time out of your day to help fellow entrepreneurs. I think we all just benefit when we work together, and this is the world we live in. If we don't work together, it just makes everything harder. So we appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Appreciate
having
being
me.
here.
Yeah. Thank you guys. And just a reminder to anybody who's still out there, if you don't already follow us, you can follow our Stock Market Festival at Stock Market CA on all social media, and stockmarketca.com is the website. When you're there, you should also click on Stockton Strong Marketplace and shop the 30 local vendors, some of who are with us today in this conversation. And then also on our other side of things, we are event planners, so goodstockca.com and at goodstockca. So we appreciate your time, and hopefully you guys got some help, and we will connect in the future. The next webinar is going to be taking place on September 10th. And that is on financing. So not quite as fun as today's topic, but just as important. So
Money can be fun.
Money can be fun, and we all need money. We use it. We need more. Yeah, so if you're here today, we have your email, and we will send you an invite to the September 10th webinar. Have a good night, everybody.
Bye.
And thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.